Hey folks, how's it going? It is Tuesday morning. I've got a day of running around the shop working on stuff here. So I've got an axle on truck 9 to get put back together. I ended up having a bearing go on that and ended up getting into the axle, and I'm hoping to be able to get that back together without any problems. I might have to have an axle guy come and cut that axle off, but I'm not sure yet. A bearing ended up going on it last week, and the bearing got so hot that what it had done was it ended up welding itself to the axle nut, and I had to cut the nut off. And the spot where the bearing sits doesn't seem to be too true, so we've got to clean that up, and I'm hoping that everything is all good with that, but time will tell. Along with that, I've got a sand box coming for the sand truck, the truck that we put in sand with. That's supposed to be here later on, and we're going to start working on getting the boxes switched out. The old box that was on that Mensch sand truck that we put sand in with was just completely wore out. We had ended up replacing a couple of bed chains in it throughout its life here, and the floor was just so damn shot in it that it was time to replace it. The floor, we could have rebuilt it and put our own floor into it and everything else, but the damn sides were shot on it, and it was quite wore out. As much as I didn't want to buy a new one, it had to be done. So that's supposed to show up today, and we'll get on working on that. So today is just going to be a day of jumping around, trying to get stuff fixed up and going while we have this couple of weeks time where we're waiting for corn to get ready here. So we're going to get on with the rest of the video. We're just going to jump around, work on various things here today, and we'll kind of explain things as we go along. And we'll go from there. So please remember to hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Drop me any kind of comment or question down below. And remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications. We're going to be chopping corn here in a couple weeks, and the live streams are going to be coming at you pretty heavy here. And in order to get the alerts to know when I'm doing the live streams, you're going to want to make sure you hit that notification bell. And if you have already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that that YouTube has kept you subscribed. Once in a while that gets turned off and people don't know it. I've been getting some messages lately that people aren't getting the notifications for the videos when I post them and whatever, and that could be something to do with your settings, and on that subscription page there where you hit the notification, there is an option to get all of the notifications or just some. You want to make sure, if you want all of the notifications, to click the appropriate box. So we're going to get on with the rest of the video here, folks. Thanks in advance for watching. Alright folks, we're just getting to the field here now. We're going to get this spreader going so that these guys can get using it here. What had happened was this pin in this lower knuckle on this front right wheel, on this front axle, this pin that goes through this bottom portion of this knuckle, you got one at the top and one at the bottom. This allows this to pivot. This axle here we can raise up in order to put weight on the drawbar of the tractor for when the spreader starts to get empty, and what that allows you to be able to do is get the proper amount of traction and weight on the tractor. So at any rate, this pin broke, and these bushings were shot. We don't quite have the right part, so we're going to slam a new bushing. What they sent was the bushings that go in this knuckle here, which is a metal bushing. So we're just going to pound them into here, cut them off. Got to pound one in on this side, and then we've got to pound one in on the back side too. There's a plastic one that is still left right here, so I'm gonna have to peel that out and then drive a metal one in there. So I've got the new pins are over here. Jared, he ended up going to Ortel's and he picked up the new pins, which these are the bushings that go in the A-arm themselves, and this is the broken pin that came out. So we're gonna go ahead and get them bushings in there and get this together. Sean's pumping a load of manure right now off onto the noon spreader, so we're gonna get after it here. All right, this ended up being quite the ordeal. The camera kicked off and we lost most of our footage here, but what we ended up doing, couldn't get the pin in the bottom. Get some light on the subject here. Couldn't get the pin in the bottom because of the they changed it from nylon to metal. There's one in here and then there's one down in below, but that nylon was screwed up on the main mechanism here, the knuckle itself. So we ended up having to pull this pin out, took this whole thing off in there, put a new bushing inside this piece at the bottom, and then bushed it on each side of these ears, and then we just got done pinning it all back together. So all we got left to do now is just get the tire on there. We're about 2.5 hours into this now, and these guys are going to get going with it here. So I've had a couple of men helping me here with it. So it was what I thought was an easy job, and it turned out to be a bit of a mongrel. So we're going to get the tire on. Alright, all we've got to do is just tighten these up. I think for the most part, this job is done. I got to take this to the back and see. I get that. Alright, we've got this wheel all on there, it's tight. They're going to re-torque it in a little while. Jason's going to bring a torque wrench over. And I'm going to get back to the shop and get the axle back together on truck 9. So we will join you guys when we get back to the shop. Alright, we are back here from working on the spreader. Nate's down in the shop here. So we got, well, we actually had a seal gone on this truck here, and they didn't oil the new bearings, and it ended up just toasting this bastard. So I ended up having to cut the bearing out of the hub. Here's the old hub here. Oh, I can't pick that up. There we go. There's the old hub there. This is the inner bearing here. That didn't torque that too bad. But what it ended up doing, here's the cage to the bearing. Here is the lock nut assembly. Here's the little ring that you slide on. We're going to use a different nut here. But you end up putting a nut on, you slap this ring here on there, and you put this lock ring on, and or vice versa, whatever. But it broke all that, and the inner nut ended up getting welded to the outer bearing. Here's part of the nut here, and I ended up cutting the nut off the end of the axle. I just dug inside this hub here, and I just kept cutting, and I was able to get that off for the most part, except the spot right here and it went all the way around this bottom portion here. So what I ended up doing was I just stuffed the torch inside the hub, and I just ended up cutting the whole inside of the bearing apart. And there's all kinds of pieces here. This is the inner race of the bearing. This part here is this part of the bearing there. But what I ended up doing was I ended up going inside with a torch, and I cut all the way around here like that so that I could just pull this hub off. I was able to pull the hub off, and I peeled the nut off the rest of the way. The nut was welded to the bearing. I had to cut in a couple of spots to peel the rest of the bearing off, and this is what the axle looks like. It's in decent shape. We've had the axle surgeon put new axle stubs on before, and what they do is they cut it back here. You have to take everything off of the axle. They've got a unit that ends up putting it back on there straight, and then they end up re-welding it on there, and you know, they go from there. But it ended up ruining the inside of the hub here. The hub is all screwed up with where that race that rides inside the hub, that ended up gouging the hell out of it. So it spun for a little while without any oil in it or anything. And then there's the new hub there. So we're gonna get this on there. Then I've got to run back to the field here. But these are all our pieces here. It all came out almost in liquid form. We're all over the floor here with parts of the bearing. Parts of the bearing there. Here. There's the rest of it there. There's the, oh, that's the inner race there. And yeah, right? Is that the inner race, or is that this one? No, that's the outer race. But that's all that's left to it. So let's get this back together, Nate. Okay, so where's the other bearing? Right here. All right, get some oil and dump some oil on that guy. Okay. Come on. Alright, stuff that new bearing right in there. Alright, so there we go. Okay, there's that. Alright, now that all went together very nicely. I've got a new nut here. Have you ever used these before? Nope. It's a nice job right here. Alright, there should be an octagon socket in that drawer. All the other ones are hex. You need an octagon. It's the only one in there. Let's set our little lock in there. And this one is just going to set in the groove. The teeth are... Okay, so this one here, this is a Pro Torque nut. And then you just slide that in there like that, and then these teeth here And there, I'm going to set in 2 teeth inside the nut. Do this with one hand. There. That's locked there. And there. Now, that's locked in. Our teeth. Bang, bang. And the phone is ringing. You can slide that axle in, Nate. Hello? Alright. Yeah, have your back across the road. Alright. Alright, pull that out a second. I do want to make sure that nut fell into place. I don't know if you gotta go on out. Yeah. Alright, okay. See if you can find the other nut or Alright, we ended up getting truck 9 all back together. We just got it parked on the side hill now, let all the oil come more into that. Bearing on this one side, and we got some scrap metal that we're going to load on there. So that one is done. Now tomorrow's project, we're going to work on the sand truck. We got a new body for it. Today I ordered this a while ago. Our other one was complete shot, and we're going to put this on the truck tomorrow. We're going to lift the old one off and set that one there on there. It should everything should bolt right into place, and that should allow us to make a quick, easy project there. So with that being said, folks, that's going to do it for this video. The following video would be the installation of that sand bed there that is going to go on the truck that we use to bed the stalls in the barn. So I want to thank you for watching. Kind of a boring video, just a couple of mechanical jobs today, but that's what I had my time tied up in. I want to thank you for watching. Remember to hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't yet already, and we'll catch you at the next video. Thanks for watching, folks.